So thank you. I mean, I think it's just testament to how talented both of these artists are. So, I mean, I don't have to say much, but we're going to start with Teresa's show, which has kind of been in production for a while. And so we're finally the big reveal is now. But I will let you have a talk, and then I may just ask. We'll open it up for questions. But
I love questions, so please ask questions and make comments, because I do love that. Yeah, I'm Teresa Posyniak, and oh God, where do I start? But anyway, this is called Entanglement, or Tangles, as I casually refer to. And I've been doing close-up paintings of nature for, close to 20 years now. Going back into the 2000s, it was based on plankton, microscopic plankton. And then I've always drawn trees, but it developed into doing more trees, imagery, branches, etc. But during COVID times, I thought it's a good opportunity to really investigate this further. And so I started to experiment with my materials, which are oil and cold wax on wood. And cold wax is not the melty wax, it's a thickener, and it speeds up the drying process for oil paints. That's it. Not subject to melting like hot wax. So you can get a nice textural finish, but it doesn't take months to dry.
Like beeswax?
No, cold wax is kind of a combination of beeswax and microcrystalline, but it can be in various versions. It kind of looks like a big jar of butter, and mix it up with the oil. It's wonderful. So what intrigues me about tangles, the intermeshing of life, and again, I love to do things more in the wild context as opposed to the floral. It's just what I'm interested in. For instance, this one's called Prairie Winds. And so I often say to people with this series, for me, and for most of my work over the last 45 years as an artist, is experiential. And so I have to have, when I do one of these works, I have to feel it. I have to feel the energy, I have to feel the motion of the lines. Sometimes the work resembles more a landscape, like this one, for instance, and sometimes it doesn't. Like, it can be like this, and some of the other works around, where it's just playing with line and resembles branches, twigs, wildflowers, grasses. But in reality, I don't even care that much, because I'm not a landscape artist, but the landscape inspires me, right? And also the tangle theme, because those of you who know me well, and there's a lot of you here that know me really well, the idea of entanglement it's a metaphor really for relationships too, and the way we interact, with nature, and we're all just intermeshed, and I'm a person who's constantly interested in making connections, And so, so these speak to me not just the way they present, but also they have kind of an emotional appeal as well. And I may have that reaction. I hope others will feel in some ways this sort of visceral connection with what I do, but it doesn't always happen that way. So it's just my own motivation. I'd really like to hear some questions.
One minute, sorry, I want to ask.
Oh yeah, you ask me anything.
Because I know we talked about this show also being kind of based on memory.
Yes.
So why don't you kind of speak a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, so I don't use photographs. I mean, I have hundreds of photographs of prairie grasses. I'm the only person I know who, when driving to Regina to see my family, stops on the highway to take pictures of the crops and the canola, and the grasses, and the buffalo, or the cows. And you know, I do that. Like, I just love the prairies. Grew up in Regina as a little girl growing up in Regina. My grandparents had this cottage that we would spend a lot of time with, and my sisters, you don't remember that. And back then, in the 50s, I think you were born yet, we were young, we were, definitely grade 1 or 2, and our parents would say, oh, just run off for a few hours. And so, but when you cross the highway, it went both ways, When I was 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, so we crossed the highway, it went both ways. We go up to the hills, and the prairie grasses, and the hills, and we'd see cow skulls lying around too, which we thought were really cool. And we just lie in the grasses and look at the sky and feel the wind, and that's really the impetus for some of these, especially like that prairie winds for sure. So that sense of experience. And so I paint from memory, and both physical and emotional memory. So it's, and the interesting thing about this show, like some of the experimentation I did when COVID began, I didn't know where it would go with the cold wax, which is a thickener and a fast drying agent, not a melty wax, and oil paint. I wasn't sure where it would lead, but I was able to have the time and the space to experiment. And so this work emerged out of that. Unfortunately, I didn't have a show last year or the year before because I had a car accident with whiplash just after COVID began, and so it was I was experiencing a lot of pain. It was harsh work. Anyway.
Those were the weights.
But I managed to get my act together and learn to live with the pain and work through it, which isn't a really great thing. Oh wow, yeah. But it worked, so thank you for coming. Denise?
Any other questions?
You mentioned the cold wax and oil paint. What about tools?
Well, I don't paint with a brush. I use squeegees, I use sharp metal instruments. I use my fingers a lot. Like this piece here is a lot of finger painting. It's with the squeegee. And I use my fingers, my hands very directly with a lot. Those swirly lines you see are dug in. With cold wax, you're dealing with many layers of color. And so depending on how deep I dig the instruments, it depends if the different colors come out, right? Yeah. Yeah, fun. Questions, impressions, yeah. No, I work on a number of pieces at the same time. Yeah.
Well, that's true, because we were talking about that earlier too, because we do tend to work in series.
Yeah.
So you might see there's, there was kind of a couple that went in the back corner. There was actually kind of 3 in that series, which I split up because I wanted them each to shine, but certainly they could work as a grouping, but I imagine you kind of working on those.
Yeah, if I had an idea, like these were actually never meant to go together, but I did them individually and then, go together. But they don't need to, They can,
Palettes are consistent, and that's what unifies them all, I think.
Yeah.
I always have admired your sense of color. Because I kind of, always know the Posyniak palettes. Like,
Posyniak palettes.
Well, you'd be surprised a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Because there are some darker ones, but yeah, like these colorful blues and the hot oranges, they're kind of standard. They're always there.
I know. And sometimes I feel like I should really not do that all the time. But because I like to diversify too,
But they're always different. That's just it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're a little bit, purple's a bit more prominent, and yellows are a bit so, but there's a beautiful sense of color. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
It's effortless.
Yeah. Well, line and color are my things. I love them. Yeah.
I have not noticed this new style over here.
Which one?
Broader strokes.
Oh yeah, there's some that have the thicker lines, intermingling. I should mention that I love graffiti, right? I just love graffiti, and so graffiti has a bit of an influence on what I'm doing.
I think I
as
don't
well.
see that in those.
Yeah, I love graffiti. Yeah, so I'm inspired by a whole bunch of things, and so I don't need photographs. Photographs spoil it for me. I just like to interpret. The artist, you understand, right? Yeah, anything
I
else?
think Teresa influence you as well. You were
Yes.
talking about-
Yeah, I'm a big tree fan, yeah. Our next biggest supplier of oxygen other than plankton.
Which was the third last show.
Well, and as an environmentalist too, like, I think these close-up views of nature, like some of you have been to previous exhibitions over the past decade or more of mine, they do deal with, like I was dealing with plankton, I love the intricate structures of microscopic plankton, amplified it, you know, and had them interacting in imaginative ways. And then knowing, but I was also very interested not just in how they looked, but their function. So form and function. So form, beautiful, intricate, function. That's what provides most of our oxygen on the planet or plankton. I never knew that, but now you do. And trees and plants and grasses are the other. So everything, you know, I look at, I'm not just looking at the beauty of it and thinking about it, but I'm thinking of the function, which is kind of important, right? Yeah. Yeah. Any comments or
Any other questions?
yeah? Well, you've
So
got
you're
one.
welcome to also approach, obviously friendly person, you can approach her after. If you want to say